We had a lot of discussions over the summer about what could or what should happen with the Hillman Opera. We had already determined that it was important that it happened. It is one of the cornerstones of the voice area at the Fredonius School of Music. So there would be an opera, but we also knew that it needed to be safe. So we established a baseline, which was that the opera would be pre-recorded accompaniment tracks by our pianist and voice faculty member, Shinobu Takagi, and that the students would learn the score and would potentially film themselves singing to these pre-recorded tracks, submitting the videos to us, which we would assemble into some sort of online performance. Our hope, our best hope, knowing the protocols and the science and the studies that were coming out, our best hope is that we would be able to film something in King Concert Hall in November when we were to have performed. And ultimately, that's what we were able to do. The choice of opera title is always an important one, and one we consider very carefully. We want to think about what we've done in recent years so that students moving through their program get diversity in terms of style, in terms of era, in terms of language. But we also want to consider the current students, the singers, the orchestra players, those from the Department of Theater and Dance who will serve as lighting designer, as wardrobe supervisor, as stage managers, so that they're learning something very valuable and important for them. The choice of title we made ended up being of great benefit to us. Beatrice and Benedict by Hector Berlioz is a wonderful piece of music, very difficult, but appropriate for the students that we have. But it also doesn't involve recitative or a lot of musical conversations. There are set pieces, arias, duets, choruses, trios. And so we feel that it was a very lucky choice for us to have made. And we also knew that we were in great hands with Dan Lenzian, with his vast experience in Shakespeare and his vast experience in devising theater that doesn't subscribe to the normal proscenium theater experience. The title had been chosen and auditions were set for April in King Concert Hall. Obviously, we couldn't have in-person auditions, so we very quickly brainstormed and came up with a solution. The voice faculty would nominate their students for whom they thought the roles were appropriate, and vice versa. We selected short excerpts from the score for the students to learn, and our pianist, voice faculty member Shinobu Takagi, recorded those accompaniments, which we sent to the students as well. They were to record themselves on video using whatever means they had, their phones, laptops, computers, and submit those recordings to us. We chose the cast from those video recordings. Through the audition process and watching the videos that the students submitted, we determined that we would be able to rely upon them, should we need to submit videos of the entire opera. That emboldened us to move forward as we discussed what the plan would be. There were many conversations we had over the summer about what do we want the students to learn from this experience? What do we want for them to get out of this process? And we were very careful in these discussions to be thinking about how online learning is more tiring than in-person learning, and the challenges of rehearsing online, of rehearsing socially distanced, of singers rehearsing masked when we were in person. That was going to be fatiguing on its own. Rehearsing an opera under normal circumstances can be exhausting for the cast and for the production team. Over the summer, We participated in many discussion groups online with other opera directors, with other stage directors. We attended workshops. We attended classes. We learned how to teach online by attending online classes. We determined that orchestra just wasn't a feasible option for us. And we just didn't think that what the orchestra players were going to get out of this experience was what they needed to learn. Instead of orchestra, we used piano. And we have a great pianist, the voice faculty member and pianist Shinobu Takagi. Instead of hundreds of voices singing in the chorus, we had one on a part singing that helped keep us safe and healthy, but put a great burden on those 7 people who each needed to represent 20 or more voices. And I'm so very proud of them for agreeing to do this, committing to it, and keeping their patience throughout the process. And as you watch our performance, you'll be amazed at how incredible they sound through the hard work of the administrators, of the faculty, and especially of the students here at Fredonia. We were able to stay in person, and so therefore our plan to film in King Concert Hall was able to be realized. But there were some adaptations that needed to be made so that we were still following the strict protocols established by the voice area, the choral area, and the School of Music that we were using to keep our singers safe and healthy. We never had more than 10 people in the room when singers were rehearsing. We changed rooms every 30 minutes so that the room could air out. That made for some very interesting rehearsals, where at 30 minutes, the whole team needed to move to a new classroom to let the first one air out. We would sing in that new classroom, 10 or fewer people, everybody masked, everybody at least 8 feet apart. And then after 30 more minutes, we would change rooms again. One of the things that this situation provided for us was an opportunity to reach out to alum who are working in the field. So we had the wonderful experience of having our alum, Andrew Bazantz, who is currently the artistic director at Eugene Opera, but who has conducted opera across the country for many, many wonderful houses. And so he agreed to come in and talk to our students and work with our students on this great music in a way that we wouldn't ordinarily have had the opportunity. We didn't have to fly Maestro Bazantz in. We didn't have to house Maestro Bazantz. And we're so grateful to him for that experience. The audio was recorded in the studios of the Sound Recording Technology Department here in Mason Hall by 2 wonderful sound recording technology students. The pianist, the chorus master, and the singers went in. Each singer was in their own room with a closed door so that they could remove their mask. There was appropriate time between sessions so that those rooms could air out. Sometimes the students were singing to previous sessions, as there weren't enough rooms to even have a trio at the same time with a live pianist. And once all of those tracks were completed, they were assembled by those SRT students. And we used those audio tracks for filming. When it was time to film, we went into King Concert Hall. We rented lights. We scoped out the locations of King Concert Hall that would be aesthetically pleasing online and showcase the beauty that is King Concert Hall. We used props and set pieces from our storage. The students came in one at a time. They each had their own session. They were in the room with 2 people only. The stage director, who functioned also as videographer, who not only wore a mask, but a face shield and stayed distanced. and a stage manager was in the room with him to change the lights as needed. That stage manager was also wearing a mask and a face shield and was staying at least 8 feet away from the other 2 people. When it came time to film, the student then removed the mask and lip synced to the recording. I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to work with Dan Lenzi and Hyla Stellhorn on the stage side of things, as he was the stage director and videographer. And we called Hyla production designer, which of course is all encompassing. She was our costume designer and costume coordinator, our set designer, our set coordinator, our props designer, props coordinator. She wore many, many hats in this production. The conversations that we had throughout this process from the very beginning, there was not, well, we can't do that. There was nothing but, how can we? How can we do this? Once we determined that something was valuable for the students, that something was important for the students to learn, the question was always, how can we accomplish this in this current situation? The wonderful creativity, the cleverness, and the commitment to the process, no matter how difficult, no matter how frustrating, no matter how much time it took, they figured it out. I'm very hopeful that although, of course, it was exhausting at times, and of course, the students were working so hard, but that what they've learned from the experience and what we learned from the experience, we hope is valuable information. We hope that we all grew as artists, as musicians, as communicators of text, and as collaborators. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy watching Beatrice and Benedict.